All right, you guys, I'm here to talk to you about this attendance quiz business. I spoke with Ms. Claiborne a little bit earlier, and I just asked her, so basically, even though we're calling it a quiz, if it's an open-ended response, it could be with any tool that you are comfortable using on Canvas. And some of you may be more comfortable with one thing than another. So this would essentially work with a discussion question, with an assignment, or with a quiz. I'm going to show you all three very quickly. I'm also going to tell you maybe some benefits or some pros or cons for either one. If you're comfortable with Google Forms and that's what you've been using, go ahead. If you want to learn about Google Forms, I would suggest just searching like how to make a Google form. It's pretty easy. The drawbacks are it's going to not report in Canvas. So if you're trying to take roll according just to your class group, it might not be the most convenient, but if that's been working for you, let it work for you. One caution, if you're using that and creating it like for a whole PLC, everyone needs their own copy of it, because if not, then all the responses will go to whoever created it. And that can lead into privacy issues because now you're getting student data that doesn't belong to you. So I'm going to show you first a discussion question. Most of you are used to making those. My kids are used to answering them, so that's probably what I will stick with. And it works on their writing skills because that's what we have built in. You can build it from here using this blue button. You can also build it, of course, from here. So I'm going to make a discussion question. I like to build it from the module if possible, because then I can I don't have to move anything in. So it's right there. I'm going to go in. I'm going to edit it. Then I'm going to actually type in the question. And because this is not the first attempt at making that video, I will confess I already had it copied. And so I can paste it. It goes right in there. And I'm going to probably just give them the tell me in one sentence something you learned or remembered yesterday. So I'm going to add that in one sentence. I can have them do threaded replies. I can have them do a bunch of fancy stuff. I am going to choose that they must post before seeing replies. That way, unless they're sneaky, they should have to say something before they can read other people's. So I am going to always check that. You can make it a group discussion and separate your classes into groups. That's a whole different episode. You can make it available from or until. I'm not going to do that just yet because I'm actually going to duplicate it in just a few minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. Here's the pros of a discussion question. It's relatively easy to make. It's relatively easy to grade. You can grade it in Speed Grader. You don't have to click anything. You don't have to add points. You can choose to not have it count as part of their grade by not choosing graded. And so it's helpful. It encourages the kids to use their best writing. You can add in a sentence frame if you like. Here's the other positive about it. When kids go in to do it, to complete it, you can have them type their answer, but they can also choose this button right here. You have to teach them, but you can choose this. They can choose this button right here, and they can actually record themselves using the record button. They can record themselves on a webcam, or they can click on the webcam and actually choose no video. Okay, so they can do an audio. This is great for any kids who have trouble typing, or maybe have an accommodation for allowing an oral response. And then once they record, it gives them a little countdown. Once they record, then all they have to do is hit save, and now instead of a typewritten response, you've got a media response. Sometimes it's also just nice for kids to have a choice, and maybe, who knows, it might encourage more kids to do it. Modules. Once I'm back at my module, here's the reason I didn't type in a date or a due date. Because a discussion question can be duplicated. And I can actually duplicate it. If I'm going to use the same question, I can duplicate it 5 times in a row. And then I can go and start dragging it, right? If I want to add specific dates to them, I just click into it. And I go to edit. And I set the due dates. Or the available from until. And then, so like if I wanted it just to be for September 1st, I set it for September 1st, and it's available until September 1st. These available from and until, you should really only use them if you want that task to vanish after this date. Almost everything has this option, but a lot of kids are getting locked out of assignments. If you have a kid that tells you I'm locked out or won't let me in, it's probably because this until date has passed. And in the case of giving them unlimited tries on other things, maybe you don't want to use this, but I might want to use this just for today, so that, or for tomorrow, so that if they haven't clicked into it tomorrow, then they're not going to be able to click into it, and it won't be a big deal. So that's a discussion question. The benefits are they can record themselves on audio or video, or they can type. It's relatively easy to make. You can also duplicate it. And so if you're using the same question every day, like tell me in one sentence something you've learned or remembered from yesterday's lesson, it's relatively, it is the least time consuming, I think, of all the choices. Another option is to do an assignment. If you are used to making assignments for your kids, you can do that. Same thing. You're going to type it in. You're going to make a due date. I would just make it for that day. And you should be able to duplicate it. It may or may not let you duplicate it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure. So that's another option. Kids can also do the record. Sorry. They can also record themselves using attendance, or excuse me, using assignments. It's late when I'm making this video. So it's going to be basically the same. I put my question in here that they can answer. If you're going to let them record themselves, you might include that. I also, the first few days, would definitely say this is an attendance check. If you don't log in, if you don't do this assignment, you won't be counted present. Again, you can change it. On this one, you can change it to complete or incomplete. You can not count the assignment towards the final grade. You can choose the submission type. Like if you do online, you can choose text entry and media recordings, or you can do just one or the other. You can split it into group assignment if you have groups set up, and you can also choose a due date or available from or until, okay? And then once I click it, let's go see what happens. So now, oh, I gotta add it. I created it in the wrong place. So now, if I've chosen the right one, it's right there. And, oh, that's the quiz I made earlier. Let me go get a different one. Sorry for the delay, and I'm not going to be editing this because I'm tired. I want the other one. And so, this is what happens when you practice several times and you've got a lot of things made, attendance quiz. And so, back to my module. Had to make sure I had the right one. Let's see. You can duplicate it just like you can the discussion question. So, again, the positives are they can record themselves. You can duplicate it, especially if you're going to use the same question every day, might make it a little easier. Then you can just click in and change any due dates or available from dates if you're going to do that. And I would suggest that if you're going to want to get rid of it. So, last thing, you can make a quiz. Two different ways to make quizzes in Canvas, because why not make it hard? You can make a quiz through this quiz tab, and you can choose a new quiz. New quizzes are fantastic. They have lots of bells and whistles, but The con for either a discussion question, an assignment, or a new quiz, it's going to show up in your gradebook. It's going to clutter up your gradebook because now you're adding 5 tasks in your Canvas gradebook. You're adding 5 different tasks every day. And even if you don't count it towards the final grade, it's still going to show up there. So I'm going to show you a way that you can use the old classic quiz feature and do something called an ungraded survey. So if you want to learn how to make a quiz with the new quiz feature, you can send me an email. I'll make a video on that. It's fancy, it's fantastic. But for this purpose, I'm going to show you the old quiz because it might be a little bit different. And I'm fighting off a kitten right now, so that's not what I'm going to name it. They love to step on the keyboard. And I'm going to say attendance quiz practice so I don't accidentally grab the wrong one later. And I'm going to add that item, and then I'm going to go change it up. So I'm going to edit it. Can't say those words together. I'm going to type in my my instructions. Do the following question. It's for attendance. That's my quiz instruction. And instead, on the old quiz version, instead of choosing a graded quiz, I can do something called an ungraded survey. Okay? And hopefully, since I've done all this work, it will let me choose an open-ended response. Okay? So I'm going to assign it. I'm going to assign it to everyone. I'm not going to give it a due date right now because I'm still kind of playing with it. But I do need to go back in and edit it and choose my question. So I'm going to add a new question. Here's my question. And actually I'm going to change it to an essay. There's my question. I'm going to update the question. And I'm going to save it. When I go back to my modules, fingers crossed, it's right here. It's going to allow them to answer the question right here in the Rich Content Editor box. Oh, looky here. On an ungraded survey, they can also use the upload or record media. This one is not going to show up in your gradebook. It shouldn't show up in your gradebook because it's an ungraded survey. I can't guarantee that, but it might be an easier choice than going through and having to grade each and every single one. So, 3 options. I vote do what you're most comfortable creating. Let's go back and check one last thing and see if this is able to be duplicated. So here's the drawback on the attendance quiz, on using an actual quiz function. Because it's a quiz, they don't want you to necessarily duplicate it. You can copy it to and send it to another course, but it won't duplicate the way these discussion questions and assignments duplicated. So, like I said, I would choose what is easiest for you, what you're most comfortable with, because it really just needs to be something that doesn't take up a lot of your time, especially here at first when we're so overwhelmed with checking attendance and emailing kids and emailing parents and grading and troubleshooting a billion different things. Choose what makes you happy. Make it an open-ended question. If you can duplicate it, duplicate it. Make it easy on yourself. If you have any other questions or if there's something else about Canvas that you're just dying to know, please reach out to CTAC. We will help you as best we can, whether it's making a video or talking through it on Zoom. Should keep your head up. It's going to be okay, I promise.